Great. So, greetings everyone. Welcome to the 241st session of the online Optom Learning Series OOLS. And for today's session, we have with us Dr. Memoona Arshad. Dr. Memoona is an award-winning research optometrist who is currently an assistant professor for the PhD program in charge at the University of Faisalabad in Pakistan. She has completed her doctorate in optometry from the University of New South Wales, Australia, published a lot of papers in the area of cornea and contact lenses, and also written book chapters as well. She's a member of the American Academy of Optometry, the World Council of Optometry, a fellow of the International Association of Contact Lens Educators, and also the British Contact Lens Association. And very recently, she was also appointed as one of the IACL ambassador for Pakistan. Her research areas revolve around cornea, contact lenses, and mostly related to, I would say, contact lens care and compliance as well. And that's what she's going to share with us, her views on how can we help patients and educate patients as well as practitioners on the wearing habits and how can we counsel patients better. So welcome, Dr. Memoona, onto our platform. And, let me just leave the screen time to you, please.
Thank you so much, Fakhruddin. I am very honored and I'm pleased to be talking with all my colleagues from this region today. So as Fakhruddin said, I have been working a lot with the contact lens risk factors and making contact lens wear safer for our healthy contact lens habits. So let's talk about it today. In today's session, what we will do is we will review contact lens aftercare and compliance and understand the true meaning of this. We will also have a look at the link of non-compliance and microbial contamination with the risk of adverse events. We will also review some of the non-compliant behaviors which lead to these adverse events, and eventually we will together discover some strategies so that we can improve compliance in our patients and educators. So what contact lens aftercare is? Lens care systems are there to clean, disinfect, and store contact lenses, and this is an important part for daily contact lens wear. As with the advancement of material technology and newer lens modalities, the lens care systems have also evolved. But basically, the system has got two parts. One is a disinfecting solution or a storage solution, which is designed to clean and reduce microbial contamination of the contact lens, as well as maintain hydration and wettability while the lens is not being worn. The second part, which is very important, is for a reusable contact lens is a storage case. This is what keeps the contact lens safe when it's not being worn, and contact lenses are also disinfected when they're inside the storage case. So for an effective care system, there needs to be a good combination of microbial efficacy, toxicity to the eye, and patient compliance. A balance of all three, once achieved, will result in a better contact lens care system. And failure to follow or affect any one of that can lead to certain adverse events, which we're going to discuss today. And what compliance is? Once we have got a care system with us, the ability to accurately follow the instructions for that care system is basically called contact lens aftercare or compliance. Compliance with or adherence to proper contact lenses and storage case hygiene recommendations plays a major role in proper disinfection of a contact lens solution, as well as maintaining good eye health. During wear, contact lenses and storage cases, they become contaminated by tear components such as proteins, lipids, tear debris. Also, when a contact lens is being worn, the microbial contaminants from hands or fingers can also get to the eye, but generally the innate response of our ocular system is very good. But if the microbial contamination is present in the storage case, it will eventually lead to the eye tissue, and all the virulent organisms are not being able to cleared out by tears. So that's where the problem area will come. Generally, the storage cases, when they get contaminated, it's very high, and it ranges from 50% to as high as 85%, depending upon the study population and type of microbial analysis the studies have used to analyze the microbial contamination. Similarly, the level of contamination also vary from being sterile to as high as log 6 colony forming units per ml. So what's the message that the contact lens storage case, it acts as a razor wire to transfer microorganisms from that contaminated storage case to the eye. So I have just attached a few images. All of them are not from internet. Some images are from my actual patients when we were studying contact lenses, and these were the condition of storage cases in which the lenses were. So you can imagine how much will be on the contact lens itself. When contact lens storage case contamination is discussed, the contamination levels and the organisms are variable from bacterial, fungal, and amoebal contaminations, but bacteria are generally the most common microbial organisms which are found from the contaminated storage cases. Out of these, gram-positive bacteria are found from asymptomatic or healthy contact lens wearers, while more virulent organisms such as gram-negative, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, etc., they are found in storage cases of those wearers who ultimately had any sort of corneal ulcer. Fungal species are not very common, but some Candida species have been found, and generally they coexist with multiple bacterial species and form a polymicrobial biofilm, which serves as a grazing spot for other bacteria. Acanthamoeba species have also been found, and from the contact lens ulcers and contact lens accessories as well. So this is something which has also been a hot topic since a few years in terms of contact lens related adverse events. When we talk about contact lens related adverse events, I'll just stop my talk here, and I just want to know your opinion on what is the most common bacterial organism which you think is found from the eye infections. But here is something which I like to bring to your attention is when we look at the storage cases, or let's say the corneal specimens of those who were contact lens users and they had an eye infection, it is this dangerous thing, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So that's where the difference comes, that common eye infections which are caused by Staphylococcus or other strep, they are treatable and the vision is reversible. So the important point to understand here is the infection with Pseudomonas aeruginosa is more severe, and that can lead to irreversible vision loss. And unfortunately, it's more prevalent in contact lens users as compared to other people who encounter eye infections. So what happens that the storage case, when anything such as Pseudomonas or Acanthamoeba species enters to your contact lens care system, the storage case actually provides a healthy environment for microbial growth because of the development of biofilm on its surface, which ultimately increases the risk of microbial contamination to the eye. And this risk is more, severe for those who are using storage case. And therefore, studies by Stapleton et al. And other groups have found that reusable contact lens wearers have an increased severity of contact lens infections as compared to disposable lens users. It doesn't mean that disposable lens users do not get eye infections, but generally the severity is reduced to half as compared to those who are using frequent replacement lens users. So we can say here that probably contact lens storage case can serve as a vector to transfer microorganisms to the eye. That's why it is very, very important to understand the risk involved and then educate our patients accordingly. Now let's talk about what is non-compliance and how it's measured. So we have seen that despite our efforts as practitioners, educators, and even at global contact lens or eye health platforms, there have been estimates of non-compliance to recommended contact lens hygiene, and that non-compliance rates are really high, ranging from 40% to as high as 91% in some studies. It means that most of our contact lens users are probably not taking us seriously, or we as contact lens practitioners are failing to deliver that message clearly. because once the non-compliance behavior or habit develops, it's very hard to then, eradicate that habit. And that can result into lens deposition with debris, proteins, and other pathogenic organisms, leading to ocular susceptibility. Here I have divided the non-compliant behaviors with the lens wear modality. Some of the non-compliant behaviors, such as hand hygiene or not washing hands properly to handle contact lenses, is equally common among both lens users. But other behaviors which involve storage case or disinfecting solution are definitely something to consider when we are looking at our reusable contact lens wearers. So these non-compliant behaviors, we will discuss it one by one. Something which I want to just get done with here is mismatching contact lens case and solution. So generally what happens in a practice that when a patient comes in, we generally give them a fresh bottle of solution to take home after the insertion, and we give them a brand new storage case. In a month or so, the contact lens solution bottle will run off, but the storage case is fine and patient keeps using it. The disinfecting bottles change and patient may not buy the same brand or from the same manufacturer. So we all must understand that the contact lens disinfecting solution and the storage case are generally complemented to each other by the manufacturer. And if the storage case is different, and this is not something which the patient might consider really important, because to them all the storage cases look the same, it's made of plastic. It's really important for us to let them know that this a slight change will also result in altered efficacy of your solution and ultimately lead to microbial contamination and then adverse events. There are some other behaviors which we'll have a look now. For example, lens replacement. So in a non-clinical study on contact lens compliance, which was done in America, I think in 2018, they found that almost 40%, or you can say half of the study population, was not compliant with their lens replacement modality. So disposable wearers are still better at it, but the reusable wearers for a 2-week or a monthly replacement schedule, they don't consider it as important. Overnight wear is something which we all have been warned since decades, and still about 25% population was found to be non-compliant with overnight wear. There is no denial in the fact that sleeping with contact lenses has been an established risk factor, and it has been discouraged. There's no other discussion on it. Similarly, almost most of the population, like 73% of those who were using reusable lens wearers, were unsure if they should replace their contact lens case. And that's where the practitioner input is really important to provide them that clarity and surety. Storage case hygiene compliance is something which I cannot emphasize enough. We have been talking about it, and we know now that poor storage case is associated with any sort of microbial infections. And there have been some studies which found that in acanthamoeba keratitis and corneal ulcers, the same sort of pathogen was found in both. So it's really important to understand that. In one of my studies, when we did look at the overall storage case contamination versus the contamination caused by more severe disease-causing organisms such as Pseudomonas or other gram-negative bacteria, we found that there was a significant association between the overall microbial bioburden with the endotoxin bioburden. And the endotoxins are those chemicals which are secreted by gram-negative or more highly virulent bacteria. So one must understand that if your storage case is dirty, it means that it's going to have that load of disease-causing microorganisms, and the link is highly significant. In another study by Robertson et al. And other behavior, and there are many similar studies on this, but this is something which I really like to show you, is when they looked at some of the behaviors regarding contact lens storage case, and they asked their respondents that are they aware about changing their contact lens storage case solution every time they put their contact lenses into the storage case. Almost 90% of the population was aware that they must have a fresh solution in the storage case, but half of the population was not sure that why they should do it and what will happen if they do not replace a storage case. So this is really interesting for me because let me explain it with an example. If I ask all of you that do not touch this surface or do not touch your laptop or anything. It's highly, there are high chances that no one is going to probably bother me because you have a personal opinion and you will follow whatever your mind says. But if I would tell you that please do not touch this surface because it's really hot and there are chances of burning your hand, definitely you will be more compliant to it because now you know the risk involved. Likewise, if we tell our patients that, if we keep topping off your solution and do not replace the storage case solution, you're not going to save anything from it. Rather, you will have higher chances of eye infection and then, other risks involved. They will be more compliant to it, definitely. So this is something to, consider about. Regarding this, I have another poll which which will give me an idea that as a practitioner, what do you think is the ideal time for changing, the solution? And I'm just changing the slide so that we don't see it. All right, good. We are getting answers. It means everyone is listening to what I'm saying. That's really good. I'm very happy. I'm very happy that at least majority has answered 1 month. So the message here is the sooner, the better. And ideally, that is 1 month. So let's go to that interesting slide, which I wanted to show you here. So this was also from Good. You are answering it right. I just wanted to show you here another good image from Robertson et al. So they did a crystal violet staining of the used contact lens storage cases from their study participants. And these are probably some examples of it. So crystal violet is probably basically a microbial stain, which will stain the biofilm on the surface of the storage case. So look at it. Here is probably a new storage case, which is sterile. So no crystal violet stain is left at the bottom of it. This is a storage case from a 6 to 9 months of use. And from my experience, I can tell probably the microbial load is quite heavy, around log 5 colony forming units per ml and more. And this is disgusting, which is more than 9 months. But if we look at our patients, and even if we go to our clinics tomorrow and ask the patients, you will be surprised or may not be surprised that most of the contact lens users who come with the storage case, they don't even remember when was the last time they changed their storage case. Or they'll have probably like 3 to 4 pairs of storage cases in their bag, and they would be very happy to use any. So if we have an image like this in our clinic and we show them the load, do you think it's going to change their behavior or make them more compliant? Is it something which we should consider? All right, moving forward, let's have a look at, so I told you that I'll be discussing some behaviors which are more prevalent with the reusable contact lens wearers, and that's the storage case, definitely. Now let's have a look at some of the behaviors which are more prevalent and in the daily disposable lens users. So using a daily disposable lens doesn't mean that you are free as a practitioner now. Your patient is going to be out of all the trouble, because daily disposable lens users do have their own issues, and compliance is something which is still to be considered and reinforced for them as well. For example, hand hygiene, it's consistent, and poor hand hygiene has been found in both reusable and daily disposable and all types of contact lens users. Daily disposable lens users do tend to extend their lens wear as well, and studies have reported that sleeping is also prevalent in them, and using expired pair of daily disposable is also something which wearers have reported in some of the studies. I especially like this study because one, this is from my supervisor. Second one, I have been involved in this when I was at the University of New South Wales. So this research group, what they did was they first looked at the risk of microbial keratitis and other inflammatory events in all types of contact lens users. And they found that, as we discussed previously, that the risk is quite severe with frequent replacement or reusable lens wearers. But it was not eradicated in daily disposable users. So they were intrigued to understand that what's happening in case of daily disposable lens wearers, what's happening with the risk. So they found out that the risk is still there, but the severity is reduced. And some of the common behaviors which was increasing the risk of adverse events is hand washing, not washing their hands before handling contact lenses, particular lens materials, and mode of wear. So those who were using lens on an occasional basis are probably less compliant and having more risk of infection as compared to those who were, using it on a daily basis and were more compliant with the aftercare instructions. We have been talking about hand hygiene, but we need to understand actually what happens if we do not wash our hands properly, or probably we need to let our patients understand that as well. So number one, post-COVID, hand washing has been really improved in general population, but still contact lens wearers are not much compliant to it. And they do not understand that these contaminated hands or fingers can work as carriers to transfer microorganisms from the surface to the contact lens and ultimately to your eye. Second, the second point is that even if we wash our hands and if we do not dry them properly, the wet hands still contain infections, and in some cases, more microbial contamination as compared to dry hand. And if we don't dry these hands properly, they can dislodge microorganisms from high contamination areas, which are nails, skin ridges, towards finger or palm of the hand. And when we put our lens on the palm or finger, it's going to transfer it to your eye. So it's very important to instruct the patients that how to wash your hands properly. This is another study by Desmond Fawn, and it was published recently, I think in 2018. So they found out that up to 50% of contact lens wearers were not compliant with hand washing procedures. We assume that post-COVID, this figure must have been reduced. And they also emphasized the educational strategies to improve compliance of hand washing procedures. This is the next non-compliant behavior is very important, and something which I have been personally working on is water exposure. See, we really have been talking a lot about sleeping with lenses, overnight wear, or not disinfecting the contact lens and storage case properly. But this risk behavior has been more prevalent in the recent times when people have taken care of those more established risk factors. They still, do not consider water exposure as important. But in recent series of studies with the contact lens related infections, this has emerged as a significant risk factor. So water exposure could be in the form of showering while wearing lenses, swimming, or even using wet hands, as I just said. And the problem is that majority of the lens users are still unaware of the risk. One reason could be that we get mixed messages from contact lens industry and global organizations. So if you remember, or if you have any of the contact lens packaging with you, you will see the water signs all over. Those water droplets and water signs are basically denoting comfort and ease, but patient may consider it that water is, not a problem with the contact lens. And this theory can lead to water exposure and then risk of adverse infections. And we will consider it in detail in a while. I did a study on water-related risk factors in which we enrolled about 200 participants from the University of New South Wales Red Eye Clinic between 2016 and 18, and we looked at their hygiene habits, self-reported water behaviors, and risk of infections. And what we found from this study was that those who had an infection due to contact lenses were more likely to have exposed themselves to water as compared to those who had an eye infection not related to contact lenses. So the study reported that showering and swimming were independent risk factors and associated with contact lens related adverse events ranging from inflammation to severe microbial keratitis, as compared to those who didn't expose their contact lenses to water by swimming or showering. Besides these risk factors, there's one shocker which I want to discuss today with the audience, especially because we are more from the same region. So if we look at it, it seems ridiculous that at this time, when we don't even share the same, cutlery, how can someone be sharing contact lenses with others? I thought the same. And, in the developed world, even when I was doing my research on contact lens risk factors at UNSW, we did look for this risk factor, like it's in the questionnaire. But I think not even 10% of the population reported that they share their contact lenses with their friends or, siblings and stuff. And it's more prevalent, with the cosmetic ones where there's no prescription and, friends are there, they're going for a night out, they can always share their contact lenses. This problem is really prevalent in South Asia and Middle East. I'm assuming it's probably driven by the cultural norms or maybe lack of awareness. But this is a very dangerous practice, as we all can imagine, and it can increase the risk of serious eye infections and complications. So there's an urgent need for education on this particular risk factor as well. Don't take it lightly. This data, which I'm showing here, is from my own study, which we are doing in Pakistan right now, where we are looking at the compliance habits of contact lens users in our region. And this is from unpublished data. So just to share with you, I think this is out of 400 soft contact lens users, around 40% population reported that they have at some point of time shared their contact lenses with a sibling or colleague. And then I found another study which, supported the same data. This is from Egypt and recently published by Sucker et al. And they found that sharing contact lenses was an independent risk factor for contact lens associated microbial keratitis. And it is not only independent risk factor, it increased the risk to 4 times for an eye infection or microbial keratitis. And these are the other risk factors, but this is something which I really wanted to highlight today, that, these things which slip away because we don't think them important in the current age are actually there, and we need to work on them. So for now, we have looked at these common non-compliant behaviors, and we have also understood that how these non-compliant behaviors lead to microbial contamination and then adverse events. The next question is, what are we going to do about it? And if what we are doing is enough, definitely not. That's why the data from studies from all parts of the world, from USA, Australia, and even from Middle East and our region, shows that the behaviors are really common, and most of these behaviors are the same, regardless of the study population. So we definitely need to work on the guidance and patient education in order to mitigate these non-compliant behaviors and the risks involved. So how to improve our current compliance, aftercare and compliance guidelines? The first and the key message which I want to bring here is maybe we need to provide an evidence-based guidelines. Those guidelines which have been established by both laboratory and clinical studies, and we need to emphasize and reinforce at every chance of patient encounter, whether it's going to be at the initial visit where we apply and remove contact lenses and give them training, at each and every aftercare visit, as well as we have to supply the material for the patient, give them take-home messages, or maybe set a reminder system for them to be compliant with their contact lenses. This is also really important, and I have found it very useful to just have a look at the storage case if they are reusable contact lens wearers, because just looking at the condition of their storage case gives you, or even looking at the general hygiene of their hands and stuff, it gives you a lot of idea that what your patient is going to do at home, and then you can tailor your aftercare guidelines according to individual needs. But most importantly, you have to provide clear and concise and simpler form of instructions which your patients are going to understand. So let's first talk about the evidence-based guidelines. I have compiled them based on all my literature search on different studies which have looked at contact lens related compliance, contact lens related non-compliant behaviors, and the risks involved. So for hand hygiene, this is very important to tell your patients that you have to wash your hands with soap not just with water. Secondly, and very importantly, they must be dried, and they must be dried using with a air dryer or a lint-free towel. If they're going to dry their hands with the regular towel, which is standing in their toilet, or it may actually increase the contamination rather than decreasing it. For the contact lens, they need to understand that rubbing and rinsing step is really important. There are many solutions in the market these days which say no rub rinse step or no rubbing step involved or something like that. Believe me, based on my research and the literature review, rubbing and rinsing is very important, regardless of what the manufacturer is saying. So to be on a safe side, it's always better, because what rubbing does is dislodge the bacteria, and then rinsing will improve it. And then you have to soak the contact lenses always in a fresh disinfecting solution and stop topping off. Then we have storage case hygiene, which is again really important. Rubbing and rinsing step with a disinfecting solution is very important, because still there will be many patients who will be using tap water to wash their storage case. So tell them strictly that you only have to use the disinfecting solution, and after using the solution, when the contact lenses are worn, they can always tissue wipe it with a clean, obviously lint-free tissue, and then air dry it in a face down position. Yvonne Wu has done a lot of studies on laboratory studies on what's the best method to clean the storage case, and if you're interested, you can look up at her studies. And so we now understand what are evidence-based guidelines. We just need to know that how to instruct or communicate with the patient in a manner that they actually will get it. So let's explore that. But before that, I'm just going to show you this image. Have a look at this slide, and then I'll move it to the poll. So this is the last poll for today. So what do you guys think, that which of these images gave you a more or a quicker message or a more effective and long-lasting instruction? Do you remember anything from the last slide, which was, I think, there for just 10 seconds? Okay, people have started the poll. See the results. And I'm very happy that most of the people have thought that C is the best method. So why is so? We have come to the conclusion after research. Yes, majority has considered C. I'll just stop it here. We have tried to give instructions verbally, in a written form, and in the form of pictures as well. Pictures have definitely worked better as compared to the written instructions, because visual imagery has got more power as compared to the verbal or written communication. But with the research, it has been found that having some picture and a little bit of text, which is not very contruded, is really important for the message to be clearer. In order to understand that, back in 2021, we published a research study where we conducted a clinical trial to look at the effect of this simple sticker on a contact lens accessory, whether on a storage case or on a contact lens solution bottle, to see if they will consider to avoid water exposure with their contact lenses. This imagery has been produced by or conceived by a contact lens user who encouraged to have a sight-threatening ocular infection, which led her severe visual impairment, and that that thought actually helped her to conceive the idea that if her practitioner would have helped her better understand the risk of water exposure, she would have probably not get acanthamoeba keratitis and lose the sight in one eye. So that was Irene Achilles, and she's quite working quite actively on social media in campaigns and stuff like that. So I would highly recommend to do go and check her out. But what has been done, that this imagery has been adopted by many global platforms, including American Academy of Optometry, BCLA, Cornea and Contact Lens Society of Australia, and they have now mass produced these stickers, which are readily available to purchase from them. You can keep them in your clinics. And you can always put it on their contact lens solutions or whatever products they take home, and that image will remind them that they should avoid water with contact lenses. And this is not just theoretical or imaginary. Our clinical trial also proved the same, that this infographic on the contact lens case improved overall water contact behavior, and it reduced the storage case endotoxins. So what we recommended that maybe it's time we should refine the messaging around it, and maybe add a little bit of text such as do not shower in your contact lenses, or don't go swimming with your contacts on unless they are daily disposable ones. So refining that message really improves. But what's the point of describing all this is the effective strategies which work are generally evidence based, and they are more creative. You just don't give them like a long list of instructions, because it's high chance they're not going to read it, or they're not even going to take it home. Use visuals, use other creative ideas where you can educate and reinforce your patients. And you also have to set up a reminder system. Maybe with this, with the latest technology and stuff, we can all have emails, or there even WhatsApp groups, Zoom groups and stuff, where we can keep sending regular reminders to our patients to keep on top of their eye health and compliance. And as I said before, it's really important to adjust your guidelines as per individual patient needs. So someone who's using daily disposable, you will direct the guidance as per their lens usage, and someone who is using frequent replacement lens users, you need to tailor it accordingly. Here, I'm sharing some of the good infographics which I have found during my research. This is, I think, from BCLA. See if you can have prints of it, this brochure, or you can have a bigger, it's available in different sizes, and it's downloadable. It's ready to be used and free resource, which you can put in your contact lens clinics. Or if you're teaching contact lenses, you can put it in your, maybe your, you distribute among your students, because remember, today's students are going to be tomorrow's practitioners. So it's really important to, give them ideas on how they can improve their, services. This is another very good infographic, which is regarding sleeping in contact lenses. I also found a very nice video from American Optometric Association, and I had this idea that maybe if you're in a contact lens clinic and your patients are even in the waiting room, because most of the people have got screens in their waiting rooms and stuff. And this video is also free to download and use, so there's no copyright issue. You can just play it in the background. Let's have a look at it. So I really like this one. It's very simple, patient directed, and it gives them a clear idea. And if you keep it on repeat in your, maybe in your waiting room, I think half of your work will be done. Your patient will already understand what compliance is, and it may also give them some ideas or, stuff to talk to you about their compliance issues if they have any. So the take home message from my side would be that, it's really important to have a consistent and unequivocal aftercare message. And disparities do exist, as I said, between the information provided by lens gear manufacturers and different organizations. But it's very important to look at what is evidence-based. We only need to disseminate the message, which is more evidence-based. There's still a lot of talk on this topic, and the research is ongoing on what are the best and simplest form of aftercare instructions. We are still working on it, but whatever evidence we have, we need to apply that to our patients. We also need to use alternative strategies, such as the use of infographics or videos or images for contact lens handling education and reminders using digital devices. Ultimately, contact lens non-compliance is a significant public health concern, and there is an esteemed need to educate contact lens wearers regarding the risks involved with these risk factors and provide evidence-based information and guidelines. So that's it from my side. I have some additional resources which have got a lot of good information regarding contact lens aftercare and compliance. Maybe you can take a picture of this slide, or when the recording will be shared with you, you can follow through these websites and get very useful material regarding contact lens aftercare and compliance. That's it. Thank you so much. And I'm very happy to answer any questions which you guys may have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Memoona, for sharing that insights with us, and also the wonderful research which you have done and in this area, because compliance has been an issue even after the development of the contact lenses, contact lens care products. It is there to stay for. It is staying. I don't know for what reason, but that's always something to look into, because we don't really have a good answer at this point in time, right?
We can't blame others.
That's right.
What ethics tells us. So being a practitioner, I think it's us. Patients are not the ones who are wrong. We are not giving the clear message.
Correct. Yeah. There are a couple of questions which have come in, and the first one is, there we go. So, any evidence or any experience in terms of the temperature related changes? So, we always tell patients to store contact lens solutions in room temperature, but sometimes they might do it the other way around, in storing in a refrigerator or things like that. Any thoughts over this concept? Is there any changes in terms of, changing in temperature?
So what I have found is that like any other medical product, or like other things such as eye drops, contact lens solutions are also designed to have specific temperatures. And their efficacy definitely gets altered if that temperature range is altered. When we talk about our region, for example, where the climate is really hot and humid, and any temperature below 25, more than 25 degrees is definitely going to alter the efficacy of the solution. So contact lens solution is very temperature and other environment sensitive. For example, you can't even leave the bottle opened. I have seen a lot of people who have their contact lens disinfecting solution bottle sitting in their toilet, or let's say on their dressing table, but they don't even know where the cap is. So if it's even left uncapped, there have been studies which show that the microbial load from air that gets into the disinfecting solution, and it reduces its efficacy. Likewise, one must imagine that changing the temperature is going to alter the antimicrobial properties of the disinfecting solution, and ultimately the efficacy of that solution. And it is the same with the storage case. So that when we keep topping up the solution rather than putting fresh solution every time, it reduces the efficacy. So I believe that yes, we have to advocate that as well, and we have to educate our patients, telling them that you have to keep it under 25. Otherwise, the efficacy will be reduced. And you also must remember that the warmer the environment, it's better for microbial growth. So hot, always a no. It could be colder, but not hot.
Wonderful. Great. The other question is, are there any newer technologies and trends which have come up in compliance to improve the compliance? due to the care related problems. So any thoughts over this?
See, it's a lot is being going on. Even if we look at the care systems, I think it's more than 10 years now that people are working on antimicrobial contact lens storage cases. They put antimicrobial surface. There is silver impregnated contact lens storage cases. As I said, in market, there is availability of one step or what we call a multi-purpose solutions. If we look at the care systems, things are going on, but still at this point of time, we cannot deny the fact that we need to adhere to those guidelines which have been discussed in the talk, that we still need to rub the lens, rinse the lens. Obviously, rubbing the storage case and rinsing the storage case with a hydrogen peroxide is not possible because it's a different lens care system. But if you have a multi-purpose solution with your patient, you need to tell them they need to clean their contact lens storage case with the solution. Likewise, in terms of compliance, we have been working on, creating infographics, creating reminder systems. There's an ongoing study with the same research team where I have worked, is that they do, have now a message system where every bi-weekly there's an auto text message which goes to the contact lens user telling them to be more compliant. But see, again, this is a human behavior. You can't fix it. You have to keep reinforcing at every point of contact. And I think that's where we are right now. Maybe hopefully in future.
Yeah. I think probably I'm just thinking out loud. Hydrogen peroxide disinfecting systems would be something which will become mainstream. I believe that will. I don't know, but the problem is in some cases.
They are definitely better at removing microbes, but they are not suitable with every lens type.
That's the problem. Yeah.
And also the toxicity and the eye sensitivity issue is there. So when they're manufacturing or when we are giving it to our patients comfort is at the utmost priority.
Yeah.
So that's why we as practitioners are quite reluctant, and we don't give hydrogen peroxide to those for whom I'm quite sure that they're not going to follow the steps with multi-purpose solution. Risk takers who come with, like with the dirty hands, or they don't bother, they're using lenses for 20 years, and you look at the condition of their storage case, it's horrible. Then you tell them, multi-purpose is not for you. Go and put them in the hydrogen peroxide so that they're cleaned automatically. Otherwise, I think, with the multi-purpose, the patient's risk is there.
Correct. Yeah, I think proper, as you mentioned, key messages which should be given to all our patients, and making sure that they remember at each aftercare, reinitiating all of that would be probably the key to success in the near future.
I think sorry, I was just looking at some of the comments, and I think I answered
a few of them. Yeah.
Because if someone comes across and they are consistently non-compliant, either you put them on the dailies, you say no more frequent replacement lens users, just throw it at the night, or you put them to the hydrogen peroxide based system, which is a stronger system, involves less patient involvement, and it does the work.
Correct. Yeah. The other point here is, do you think compliance is affected by the cost factor? Because sometimes the contact lenses and the care products are something which is of a luxury as well in some cases. So definitely. That would be,
Definitely. This is something which is there in all of the developed world as well as in our part of the world. So the economic situation and economic cost is there, and those with the and research has, even my research showed that those with lower socioeconomic status were going to reuse their contact lenses more than the required time, and also encounter contact lens related adverse events more commonly as compared to the ones with the higher socioeconomic status, where they can afford to change their contact lens storage case and solution on time. They'll definitely do it. So cost is definitely an issue, and it really affects the compliance too. But that's where practitioner's involvement is important, because as I said, you need to tailor your guidelines according to your patient. So if you know that your patient cannot afford that expensive system, you have the responsibility to introduce them or provide them with the best products which work within their cost, so that they can change it when they need
Correct.
to, rather than
Yeah.
giving them expensive solution or product and then they keep topping it off and using it wisely.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
it's
So that's important. Yeah. I think you did answer this question. If you have a
yeah,
non-compliant
yeah,
patient, what
yeah.
would you do? It's either changing the lens care system or the wear modality. I think that's something which can be looked at. Yeah, probably would like to give a thought on this one. What I would like to rephrase this. I know the answer is straight away yes, but how can we convey this to our patients? Probably, if you can give a bit of highlight, how
Did
can
I,
we convey?
yeah, did I think it's really important to maybe, in my patient setup, what we used to do is we use that, soap and water um, practice. We had a bowl with soap and we had a bowl with water, and we kept adding water, and the amount of bubbles was reduced. And we told the patients that that's what's going to happen in your storage case. It's a disinfecting solution, but if you keep the ones which is left at the bottom is now water once your contact lens is out of it. So if you keep putting a little bit of soap on water, it's not going to be effective anymore, because the solution which we're going to put in it actually becomes ineffective unless the whole solution is changed. So there needs to be a clear message which needs to be conveyed to your patients, that yes, topping off is a significant risk factor, but our patients, as I showed in a table as well, there was a figure on it, that most of patients don't even know that what will happen if we don't change the solution, unless we tell them that the solution, if we don't replace it, it's not going to be efficient enough to kill the microbes and you're going to have eye infection. They won't. So of course, topping off is very bad. They need to replace the lens solution every time they put the lenses in their eye or put it
Right.
back to storage case.
Wonderful. And in terms of compliance, have you experienced a difference in age groups versus adults versus teenagers, and is
See,
that something which is looked
yeah,
at?
it's very interesting, and this is really important for practitioners to know as well. There have been a lot of data in this, that there are some people, generally, regardless of age, who have a gene which is called risk-taking propensity. See, in public, we do get to know some people who are always, climbing on walls and doing stuff which one shouldn't do. So they actually have a gene of taking more risks as compared to more cautious people. So if you come across a risk taker, and that's generally a more, they're in terms of age group, definitely those less than 18 years of age, male gender. I'm not being racist or anything here, but yes, males are more, there are high chances if you come across a male patient who's less than 18 years old or younger, they are going to be non-compliant with whatever guidelines you're going to give them. So we need to keep an idea. Also, an interesting finding that those people who are established contact lens users, which means that they have been using contact lenses for years, they tend to become non-compliant.
Correct.
Because they have been using lenses for years and they never had a problem. So why would they, they say it has been fine all along. So what won't? And then one fine morning, they get to have an eye infection. So it's also important that if you come across an experienced user, you need to reinforce the whole instruction process. And new users are generally more compliant. So
Yeah.
I think that helps answer. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Often
Yeah, a couple of more questions. I think they're coming up.
That's
One or two are very similar to the ones which I'm sharing with you. I think the use of these cleaning tablets or the UV cleaners in terms of disinfecting the lenses. Any thoughts? What are those, and how can this be useful?
everything is fine. So I think from the lens cleaning tablet, this is, I think, part of the hydrogen peroxide based system, and that's very effective. And if your patient is going to be non-compliant with a multipurpose disinfecting solution, you should probably consider the hydrogen peroxide based solutions. But having a UV cleaner, we don't trust it anymore, because it has been found that the multi-purpose solution is then being put into the the storage case, and if that multi-purpose solution gets topped off, ultimately the biofilm gets back very quickly. So up till now, the most effective way is, if they are using a solution, they tend to stick with it and then tend to follow whatever instructions are there, because that's more readily accessible version of contact lens care system.
Right. And do you think, placing a very vibrant or a strong image of an infected eye in our clinical practice would be something which could elicit patients'
That's a
understanding or
very
scaring or something
that's
like
a
this?
very risky thing to do. As a contact lens practitioner, I wouldn't do it, because then my new
Yes.
patients will get scared off. They would, and half of the population is already scared, and they are being they already have got those messages from their ophthalmologists and other people who don't understand contact lenses, that
That's
contact
right.
is
Yeah.
bad for the eye. On top of that, if you put a scary image, it's going to scare them out of contact lenses. We don't want that. We want them to have contact lenses, but be careful with them. So maybe if you come across a very non-compliant young teenager male patient, show them that picture, but not to all the contact lens wearers.
Yeah, it shouldn't be
And
placed in your clinic, but can be used for education purpose,
yes,
right? Yeah.
yes.
Wonderful. Let's just take one last question. This is regarding if the patient is choosing the branding. Basically, if you have a brand A contact lens, would you recommend the same brand solution, or how do you choose in terms of recommending lens care products for a contact lens? Is there
Like,
any specific
I think
guideline?
this is very variable, because first of all, as a practitioner, we need to know what's available in the market.
Yeah,
Secondly, we need to understand patients' needs. That if they are using, and it really doesn't matter if they are using a lens, let's say from Alcon, and a solution from another company like Cooper Vision and stuff. It's more important that they use the same storage case of the solution. So if they're using, let's say, of I don't know if they're using a Reno solution, they should use the complemented storage case, and they should not use a storage case from, let's say, the Pure Vision or other
yeah,
contact solution brand. That's more important, rather than matching contact lens and the storage case brand. So they can be using a contact lens from another brand. You just need to see that what storage case and what disinfecting solution will work best with that patient, and then ask them to stick with that and keep changing their storage case along with the solution bottle, so that the storage case and the solution are from the same manufacturer. That's, I think, more important.
yeah, right. And nowadays, the companies and industry are kind enough to provide a free storage
Yeah,
case
it's there with
for
every
most.
bottle. Yeah,
Yeah, with most, even with a travel pack, you get a storage case.
yeah,
So it's much easier to convince patients to change when you at least change a new solution, change the case,
change
and
the
use
case.
it.
And also important to ask them to throw the old case, because what
Yeah, they
happens
store it
I, I
as a
have
memory.
seen it. I have seen it that they get a new case, put some solution in it, but they have other pairs in
Correct.
case they lose the original storage case. So it's really important to tell them that if it's more than a month's old, just discard it, throw it. You don't need to keep it with you, because then there are high chances they'll keep using it.
Correct. Yeah. And also these cases which are very fancy, which you can get online.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
is there
a
is a
big no.
case,
It's a
yeah, with
big
a
no.
mirror.
So
Yeah.
you need to tell them that the simpler the storage case, I mean, there has been a whole lot of research on that those fancy storage cases which have ridges in them, they
Yeah.
actually attract microbial organisms. So it should
Correct.
be a flat surface. It should be without any ridges. That's easier to clean and better for your contact lens and your eye. So if possible, just avoid those fancy online, storage cases. They're not doing any good to your eye health.
Correct. Yeah. Wonderful, great. So I think with that, thank you so much, Dr. Memoona, for sharing all that with us, and also going through the questions, the couple. So
Yeah,
thank
sure.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening or good night.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending. We do have session planned over the next couple of weeks. Take care until then. Be safe and hope to see you during the next session. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Memoona. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye.